Hello everyone, it is me, Lo-Fi. We're back with another video. So, I've talked about this way too much, but we're gonna get into it again. Phyrexia will be ones coming next. Spoilers start on the 13th. Well, the introduction to new Phyrexia all will be one starts on the 13th. We'll get some spoilers from that. Some big spoilers. But anyway, let's relook at this key art piece that we know Kamigawa on the right, middle is Zendikar. Pretty sure on the left that is Theros. I'd wager money it was Theros. So with Theros being a big part, and Theros has gods, like physical manifestations of gods. So the question comes, who's gonna be our Phyrexianized god? Because you know it's gonna happen. I mean, for crying out loud, that would just it'd be the perfect thing. A god among the Phyrexians. So I'm gonna go over a few things. We'll look at all the Theros gods. I'll do my likely chance of them being it, yada yada yada. And let's start with the first one, Heliod. Heliod's not dead. He's trapped in the underworld under a big rock. Cause Elspeth was like, "You're a big jerk and a loser." So Erebos made a deal with her. So he's trapped underground. Now, out of all candidates for Phyrexianization, I could see Heliod being the one. Mostly because, well, it's Heliod. He's a jackass, a jerk, and incredibly paranoid. So he'd be the perfect Phyrexianized candidate. But again, he's at the bottom of the underworld, hanging out under a rock. And then we get to Thassa. Okay, so Thassa, god of the sea. Thassa's Our last major plot with her was the planeswalker Kiora came to Theros, was like, "Oh, this is a cool place." The merfolk of the plane mistook her for Thassa. She rolled with her and was like, "Yeah, I'm Thassa. This is awesome." And then Thassa confronted her like, "Hey, how dare you usurp my name, yada yada." Anyway, story short, Kiora stole her sphere, stole her Biden, which gave her control over a lot of stuff. And with how bad Theros' Beyond Death story was, we didn't get a lot of input of how Thassa works now, if she's like lesser worshipped because she got best by a merfolk. But I don't see it being Thassa. Thassa's been tricked by Kiora. I doubt Thassa's gonna end up being Phyrexianized. But you know who I could see Phyrexianized? Erebos. Erebos, god of the dead, who, as we know, his latest story was he made the deal with Elsef that if she could get Helia down to the underworld for him, he would let her free. And they did. They worked together, made the deal, bam. Helia's trapped under a rock. Now imagine this. Your biggest competitor god has been imprisoned. You're gonna get cocky. He won. And as winners do, they get full of themselves. So, all of a sudden, here comes this new group of things from off plane that are like, "Hey, you want some magic goo that will make you super powerful?" Erebos will be like, "Hell yeah, I want some magic goo." Bam, Phyrexianized Erebos. Not much to say on Perforos. All we really know about Perforos is he's hot-headed, comes to rash decisions, and likes to destroy stuff. So yeah, I don't think it'd be him. And we come to our last god of the monocolored gods. It's Nihilus. Najila, something like that. I'm bad at pronouncing names, y'all know this. So, interesting story with her. She was the only god who noticed Xenagos causing trouble, and I think Ashiok she noticed, even though Ashiok made the deal with Phaenax to be unseen by the gods, but she's the only one to catch on to Xenagos' scheming. She didn't do much about it, but still. So she's a bit more open-eyed than the other gods are. So if anything, I could see her being the first god to be like, hey, there's these new bad guys. We need to team up. But with her also with that said, she'd be a perfect first candidate to be Phyrexianized. And now we get into my more favorite gods, the dual color gods. I like them a lot more than the monocolored ones personally, but that's not surprising. So let's get this one out of the way since people are going to say it. No, Xenagos cannot be Phyrexianized. He cannot come back to life. He is dead. He was killed in Nyx. Once something dies in Nyx, it's gone for good. So no, there will be no corrupted Xenagos. Sadly. He's like one of my favorite planeswalkers. I seem to like a lot of the villains for some reason. Anyway, with Xenagos being said, Clothis, our new Gruul god, the god of destiny, who, as y'all know, sent Calyx after Elseth, and now Calyx is chasing Elseth across the multiverse. Anyway, let's put an end to that. So, Clothis would be an interesting choice. She's no longer in the underworld, so she's out doing stuff. Personally, I just want the stories back. I want to know all the juicy details. But she's no longer just hanging out in the underworld. She's pursuing people that they must face their destiny. That what's better than a rule stickler, as I'll call her, being Phyrexianized, and now the rule stickling is for the Phyrexians. That would be an interesting one. Very interesting. Okay, we got Karmametra next. She's the god of harvest. I don't know. Okay, so she deals with like unity, and she has a bunch of a lot of her worshippers are farmers and stuff. I'd be shocked if it was her. Faraka, the goddess of medicine, death, and curses. This is another one I don't see happening. Though she would be a good candidate for it because she's like the god of medicine. What better way than to take your Phyrexian medicine and become one with Phyrexia? She would make a bit more sense than the others. And then we have Kyranos, the Izzet god who, from what we know from flavor text and other things, he likes people who are quick to act, and if you can impress him, he is a very generous god. Also, he doesn't take shit from people and likes to lightning bolt people who make fun of him. I don't see him getting corrupted either. Up next we have Ironis. So, Ironis, for those who don't know, is the twin brother of Mogris. They are both sides of war, with Ironis being the honor and fair fighting of war. I mean, if he got corrupted, wouldn't he just kind of become Mogris 2.0? That's my he's another candidate I don't see being Phyrexianized. And we talked about Ironis. Here's Mogris, god of bloodshed, destruction, pillage, burn, all that fun stuff. He's mostly worshipped by minotaurs, There are a few non-Minotaur worshippers of his. Yeah, no, I don't see this guy being corrupted by Phyrexia either. And if he is, it'll just look bad for the Minotaurs of Theros, which you're like, okay, all stories of Minotaurs from Theros, they've just been looked at badly. So this one isn't. Yeah, again, I don't see it. Aetherios, god of the dead. So he's the ferryman. He's Charon. We all know this. He's. It's his goal, his job to make sure when people die, they pass into the underworld, blah, blah, blah. He would be an interesting choice to be Phyrexianized. Because since he ferries all the souls, they'd be perfect for corrupting. I mean, think about it. As Phyrexians kill those mortals of Theros, and he comes to ferry their bodies into the underworld, he could just Phyrexianize them right away. That'd be kind of cool. So yeah, I'm not gonna say 100%. I'm not gonna say 100% that he's he's a likely candidate, but he's pretty up there. Next, we go to Phanex. So Phanex is the god of liars, cheats, schemers, gamblers. He was the first mortal to ever escape the underworld, and he became a god. He commands the army of the returned. They're these undead zombie dudes with golden faceplates. Okay, so I really thought he was going to be the main antagonist of Theros Beyond Death. I thought he would partner with Elsef to take down Heliod, but no, it was Erebos. A god of scheme, liar, and cheats would be perfect for being Phyrexianized. He's already kind of a black sheep. He is the one that gave Ashiok their ability to not be seen by the gods so that they could cause all sorts of havoc. So he's definitely up there. I could see him more than Aetherios. I could see him more than Thassa and Nylea. And then we have Ifara. Ifara is the god of knowledge, cities, polises. She, in flavor text and different cards, she's been shown as a kind and caring god to her cities that worship her. But also, she is pretty dangerous. So in the original Theros, Ashiok, using their nightmare powers, managed to birth a new god upon Theros, Cacophony, the god of builders. Yet Cacophony showed up, Ifara was like, who the hell are you? Kicked his ass, sucked up his power into her gourd, and was like, yep, I'm the only god of the cities. So she's definitely very, very capable of being destructive. Also, she'd be like one of the perfect candidate. This kind, caring god who answers to just everyday citizens' prayers and wants, becoming the Phyrexianized, instead pursuing those wants and having, imagine this, she's Phyrexianized, she comes to a city, has her gourd spill water into a fountain, and tells everyone to drink from it. Those first that drink from it get corrupted by the Phyrexianized oil, and then it just spreads like a sickness. She'd be perfect. My money is on her, is on Ifara to become corrupted. 100% I could see this one out of all of them. And that, my friends, leads us to one final god, Crufix. Now, I've already made a video about Crufix. He's the oldest god in the pantheon. He's seen hundreds of other gods rise and fall. He knows what the Phyrexians are. He knows what the Eldrazi are. He knows what Nicol Bolas is. He knows all these threats. But he knows if the Phyrexians ever came to Theros, it would mean the end for the realm. Having the god of the future and knowledge and want to become Phyrexianized would be a key candidate. Krufix's worshippers are few, but they're incredibly loyal. So, plus, he's the one who calls the Pantheon in for when he called. So, in the story, he called for all gods to return to Nyx to not affair with the mortals. So, having him corrupted, he could call that again, have all the gods come back up to Nyx, and then infect them all. It'd be another big one. He's also one I have a lot of money on that he could be our next corrupted god. So yeah, it's the Pantheon of Pharaohs, who I think, in my thoughts on who has a better likelihood of being corrupted, TLDR, I could see Erebos, Phaenax, Melia, but my top two gods who I'd say at least 75% chance of them being the ones is Aphara and Krufix. And and yeah, that's my thoughts. But let me know what y'all think down in the comments. Do y'all think think we're even gonna get a corrupted god? If we do, who do you want it to be? If you disagree with any of my reasoning, let me know in the comments below. And yeah, stuff like Phyrexia one will be interesting. They said from the start that it is going to change your expectations of how the multiverse works. But enough talking about the multiverse and everything else. I just want to say, y'all, thank you for watching. And also, I'm partnered with Pinfinty. So, if you use code LO5vibes at checkout, you'll get up 20% off your order. Or if you use my link in the description, the same thing. For those who consider using this, I thank you. And shilling over, like I already said my dues, have a good one.